Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Barbados Opposition DLP elected a new political leader. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Tuesday, 3rd May 2022. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. New Democratic Labour Party DLP President Dr. Ronnie Yearwood was announced the winner earlier on Sunday at the DLP headquarters, George Street, St. Michael, by returning officer Ricardo Harrison. Yearwood received 273 votes, while his opponent, Dr. David Eastwick, received 205. He says his first goal is to unify the 67-year-old party. He announced that on Sunday after he defeated veteran politician Dr. David Eastwick during the DLP's extraordinary conference entitled Embracing Our Legacy, Shaping the Future. The conference was called following former President Verla de Pisa's resignation in January after the Barbados Labour Party, the BLP, defeated the DLP 30-0 for the second straight general election in a 3.5-year span. Our first task is to unify this party and to bring everyone together. It is a signal to Barbadians, members, supporters, all supporters who are paid up or not. This party calls you home. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, and what your last name is. This party has a place for you, a seat for you. You have room at the table with the DLP, Yearwood said. He also made it clear that he would embrace supporters of his opponent Eastwick, who served as Member of Parliament for St. Philip West from 2003 to 2018 and as Minister of Agriculture under the DLP's 2008 to 2018 administration. I want to say to people who voted for David Eastwick and for myself that you are included. You are a part of this project. There is not an old guard and a new guard. This is one DLP family and everyone is welcome, he said. Over now to Port of Spain, where the University of the West Indies, UWI, on Saturday announced the appointment of Professor Rosemary Bellantwine as the new principal of the university's St. Augustine campus. The decision was made during the UWI's University Council meeting on April 29th. The appointment takes effect from August 1st, and Antwine will replace outgoing principal Professor Brian Copeland and become the first woman to hold the post. The UWI's website states Antwine is a Cambridge and Oxford scholar who holds a doctorate from Oxford University in offshore financial law. Antwine started her journey with UWI as a temporary law lecturer at the Cave Hill campus in 1989 and then became a lecturer in 1991. Since then, she has served in several high-ranking positions at UWI, including Law Faculty Dean and Pro-Vice Chancellor of the Board for Graduate Studies and Research. During her time as Law Faculty Dean, Antwine was instrumental in creating the Macandal Daga Scholarship, which is an equal opportunity scholarship aiming to support law students who are outstanding in and out of the classroom. Outside of her work at the University of the West Indies, Antwine has served as president of the Organization of American States Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, where she also has been the rapporteur for people of African descent and rapporteur for indigenous peoples. As chairman of the CARICOM's Marijuana Commission, Antwine has been an advocate for the decriminalization of marijuana and the creation of a sustainable cannabis industry. She also currently serves as president of the Family Planning Association. In another item out of Port of Spain, it does not take place often, but members of Parliament were largely in agreement on the Joint Select Committee's report on cannabis control. Member for Faizabad, Dr. Lokram Bodu, sought clarity on which medical practitioners would be allowed to prescribe medical cannabis. More in this TTT news item.
It does not take place often, but MPs were largely in agreement on the Joint Select Committee's report on cannabis control. Member for Faizabad, Dr. Lakram Bodo, sought clarity on which medical practitioners would be allowed to prescribe medical cannabis.
Now, the legislation appears to be straightforward and says that registered medical practitioners. But again, I think the point is important in terms of training and whether there will be authorization and certification of particular medical practitioners to prescribe medicinal cannabis, Madam Speaker, to protect the public's interests.
Dr. Bodo also made the distinction between the terms prescribing and recommending. He also stressed the need for more research on the cannabis edibles, which have shown markedly different timelines for effects. Tobago West MP Shamfa Kajo addressed economic aspects that the JSC report might impact.
So how do we wage a war against poverty and then allow a war on drugs that criminalizes people or stains your record for possession of small amounts of marijuana, or should we say cannabis? The two just doesn't go hand in hand.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The blame game is on in Guyana as to who is responsible for current financial status of the National Insurance Scheme. Vice President Barbados Jack Dio claims that the NIS is bankrupt and that APNU AFC should be blamed. The APNU AFC fired back quickly, saying that Mr. Jack Dio depleted the NIS funds. Here is more from HGP's Travis Chase.
You know, the NIS bankrupt basically that when APNU reduced the 7,000 sugar workers, it's 7,000 people less were contributing to the NIS.
That's Vice President Barbados Jack Dio during a cabinet outreach at West Barbados on Wednesday. Jack Dio told the residents that the National Insurance Scheme is bankrupt and that the former government, APNU AFC, should be blamed. Firing back at Mr. Jack Dio's assertion is Opposition Member of Parliament Valda Lawrence, who said that Mr. Jack Dio needs to be truthful about the current financial state of the National Insurance Scheme. MP Lawrence said that Vice President Jack Dio needs to be reminded that it was under his tenure as president that the NIS was left in a cash-strapped position, given several questionable investments.
It was VP Jack Dio who invested $2.5 billion of NIS monies in ordinary shares in the Barbados River Bridge. He further invested another $810 million from the NIS resources into this bridge in order to cover the non-performing assets in this entity. By his actions, this caused the resources of NIS to be further depleted.
The former health minister accused the former president of ignoring the advice from the board of directors of the NIS at the time and proceeding to invest in the Barbados River Bridge and the CLICO insurance scheme, among other projects.
What VP Jack Dio should be advising the president and cabinet on is the provision in the Financial Institution Act of 1995 on how to treat with NIS under Section 3 of the Cooperative Financial Institutions Act.
The vice president, during his outreach, also ruled out an increase in NIS pension anytime soon. Mr. Jack Dio maintains that the focus was on keeping NIS afloat and ensuring that pensioners are paid.
One must also not forget the CLICO fiasco, again involving VP Jack Dio and the NIS funds, whereby some $5+ billion was invested. And we all know the fiasco of CLICO, which was placed under judicial management in 2009 and subsequently was liquidated in September 2010.
Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
We have word on the arrest and questioning of a former finance minister of Guyana by the Special Organized Unit on Thursday. Details in this report from HGP Nightly News with Travis Chase again.
It's tantamount to harassment. That's how Attorney-at-Law Roysdale Ford has described Thursday's arrest of former Finance Minister Winston Jordan by the Special Organized Crime Unit.
I'm not really surprised at the latest move. I believe that the authorities are simply harassing Mr. Jordan, and the cases all have absolutely no merit.
The Special Organized Crime Unit has confirmed that the former Minister of Finance was on Thursday arrested and questioned by SUCU in relation to the sale of several acres of land at Ogle on the east coast of Demerara. Jordan was released on his own recognizance.
He was questioned in the presence of myself and Attorney-at-Law Don Holder Alert. He was then released on his own recognizance to return on the 3rd of May.
Mr. Ford told reporters via telephone that police at Suku wanted to know what role Mr. Jordan played in the sale of land at Ogle to a company named Premier.
Towards the conclusion of the interview, Mr. Jordan experienced some degree of this. We remain concerned about his health also.
Suku is alleging that the sale of the land allegedly took place after December 21, 2018, following a no-confidence vote against the APNU-AFC. It was the Irfan Ali government who in November of 2020 asked Suku to investigate land transactions conducted by their Partnership for National Unity, Alliance for Change. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.